So what you guys can see behind me are the initial tracks that I pledged I would improve my sprinting. So I thought I'd come down to the track and do kind of like this is a day one. I still don't know any technique, like I said, and I want to warm up and run the 100 meters and see what time I get. So we have kind of somewhere to start, speed, look, and technique. 12, you see it? 12:76. That's about as fast as when I was 13. I've come back to see if I sprint better and if I can sprint a better 100 meter time. One thing I want to talk to you guys about is the importance of drills in sprinting. So you really should look at sprinting as an intense exercise that is done in explosive bouts with lots of rest in between. The technical aspect of it matters a lot, and drills are always part of a training session before you actually start to sprint. It's debatable how much you should drill, but I definitely think you should drill. The drills just hone in on positions that you want to hit while you sprint, remind your body what to do, and enforce that without the intensity. There's lots of different drills you can do, and that can 100% get overwhelming to know what the hell is the right thing and what the fuck am I doing when I do it, because they are notorious for feeling very silly until you get the knack. And another example is just not to glorify drills too much or really hold them as like such high esteem. Embarrassing example for me, there's a drill I'm about to do now called an A skip. That one is tricky to get right for anyone that's never done it before. I've been doing it for years, but I recently did a one-on-one with a sprint coach and they wanted me to do another variation of that. Leg up, leg down, other leg up, down. That seemed to go okay for me, but because I hadn't done that variation of that drill, I couldn't tie it together. Of what value is the drill in helping me sprint if a slight tweak on that completely messes up my brain in approaching a basic drill? To make such a slight adjustment shows that the drill isn't necessarily carrying over to me just being more efficient at the sprinting position. It might just mean that I've practiced and gotten good at that specific movement, but of what value is that to transfer over to my sprinting? I think I'm starting a podcast. While I'm continuing to warm up, I want to talk about one of the more common errors that I see with sprinting that would probably help a lot of people if this is just the one thing I can say, and it's about your hip height. When you run or when you sprint or when you jump, being able to maintain, let's just say your hips carry your center of mass, being able to maintain this height as you move through space, so whether it's running or it's jumping, that matters a lot in terms of movement efficiency. If your hips are sinking down upon every step, there's an extra amount of force needed to recover that position. And as you get closer to the ground, you're minimizing your ability to extend your leg. And that also matters because that's hindering force production. So these drills that I'm doing, I'll show you a few of them. A lot of them are about that, but just in general, if you are watching someone sprint, or if you film yourself sprinting and look back on it, watch the height of your hips and your ability to maintain that height. So if I jump up and tuck and land with the legs back down, if I'm not efficient at tucking up and extending the legs back, I'm gonna land lower with my center of mass and less able to produce the same amount of force on the next jump. So the equivalent of jumping and going lower and lower. Of course, I'm exaggerating it, but this hip position matters a lot, and you'll see it in someone that doesn't sprint well, where you see their center of mass or their hips like sunk and them looking like quite low to the ground when they're sprinting. Someone that's sprinting at max speed should look nice and tall in their position because they're very efficient at turning the leg over, hitting back down before the center of mass starts to drop. This is the workout today, is just running the 100 meters once or twice, and then I'll be done. If you were actually to train sprinting to improve your 100 meter time like me, a lot of your sessions would not involve sprinting 100 meters. It would involve sprinting less. breaking down the movement, whether you're working on your acceleration, getting up to top speed, or whether you're working on your positions in your top speed. Recovery is a huge part of sprinting, and even though I've been doing sprinting for several years now, it's been my own sprinting, and I've only done it once or twice a week. And it's got to the point where I have invested so much in understanding the technique of sprinting that even though I have lots of room to improve, there's not much more I can do from that side of it to get better. It's now just building some more volume into my week. Being able to sprint twice consistently instead of once would see the most improvement for me. You can't just smash theory with sprinting and work on things once per week to see big improvement. I am going to run this 100 as a crouch start. Just the traditionalness of sprinting. I'm trying to learn the crouch start, but I wouldn't say you need to. I think you just need to learn how to accelerate. All right, that's the session done. I clocked 12 exactly. There's nothing impressive, but it's a big improvement from the years ago from when I started in terms of time. Hip flexor / adductor. Not heaps happy with that, so I'm not gonna do another one. This was a little bit of a rushed session anyway, which is not advisable with sprinting. Injuries would very likely happen if you've not done sprinting before. And I'm not talking about catastrophic injuries, I'm talking about expecting tweaks and everything as your body works out what the hell you're doing. I've had my fair share of shin splints, and moving to training majority on grass helped with that. But the biggest thing you're gonna have to factor in when it comes to sprinting is your load management. How often are you sprinting? Because you could end up starting out too much. How long are your sessions? Because you could end up doing too many. How far are you running per session? Because you could end up running too far. I'll probably minimize my expectations of a sprinting session. I would expect most people like me that are interested in getting into sprinting, you're gonna think the appropriate amount is actually more than what you should do. So I would halve that and start out very small and start to just build into it, because that is where most people are gonna run into problems regarding injury. It's just doing too much too soon. You have to remember that this is a very intense movement. It's moving your body at 100%. And if you are doing that out of the blue, or if you are doing that without the proper form, too much is going to result in injury. Never been one to fearmonger for an exercise. There is just nuance to how you approach. And part of training is learning all about how your body responds to that load management. Overall improvement, great. You should sprint. It boosts testosterone, confirmed. I'm faster, all the ladies want me, and my subscribers have gone through the roof. Not really, sprinting is really nuanced and quite niche for adults. So get on board with our sprinting journey and let's build a community around it.